Will Bitcoin reach 100,000 in the near future? That's exactly what we're tracking on this channel. And in this video specifically, we'll be taking a look at Bitcoin. We're also going to give updates on Tesla. NVDA has their earnings coming up. So I have my NVIDIA earnings and stock price prediction. That'll be my next video that I put out. So make sure that you subscribe. By the way, the technicals that you see on here, they all land on Discord, just available through the Patreon. Links down in the description. I'll talk more about that later. They're over there. Prior to hitting YouTube, you can see those as they come out. And then also, if you want to do the technical analysis yourself, I'll tell you more in this video about how you can learn to do that and get access to a trading strategy through Stockmo Academy. Link also down in the description. In the meantime, we have the indices to look at. We have inflation to consider because we have the CPI report coming out at 8:30 and the market happens to be a little bit nervous about how those numbers are going to look when they come out. And so we're going to have to watch and see as they come our way. We also have a little bit of cooling after the rampant rise that we've seen in a lot of areas in the stock market, and that is to be expected. So cooling down, hopefully not too much before we start to launch off that next platform. And I think that's where we find ourselves with Bitcoin. So let's go through SPY, QQQ, and IWM. I'll give commentary on each of those. Then we'll get into Bitcoin, Tesla, and NVIDIA. And remember that my NVIDIA stock price prediction and earnings projection is going to be my next video to land. I have the numbers ready to go. I just want to make sure that they are pristine before I drop those to you. NVIDIA's earnings, by the way, are on the 20th. That's 1 week from today in the after hours, the 20th of November. So next Wednesday evening is when we're looking for that. So what we have on the screen right now is SPY, and we just failed to break that 600 mark and actually hold it. Softening a little bit right now, and you can see that we're dancing around at this resistance line that I have up to this side, and then you can see that resistance that is on there for you. That's actually just shy of $600. That's $599.31 is where that comes in, and we just peekabooed up to $600.17 during regular trading hours on Monday. Couldn't quite hold it, softening a little bit today. We don't want too deep of a retracement. If we actually came back and found out that we held at support around 589 or anywhere in between there and here in the pre-market hours around 596, by the way. We'll watch for that too deep of a retracement, such as if we came all the way back down to this one. I mean, that would be a previous high. Wouldn't be too bad for us. We already did retest it once. If we retest it and it held again, that would be solid support for us. We want to keep on watching that push up above that $600 mark. It'd be excellent to hold up on top of this resistance, this trend line, and have it as trend line support rather than trend line resistance. We peekabooed up over it once, couldn't hold it. Now we're back down below it. So over to the Qs, pre-market hours, we're back down a little bit, still in this area of resistance. And I talked about that. It's been on here for a while. You can see that we made it up in there going back to Thursday of last week, but could not punch through it on Monday, even though we tried. And there is a significant resistance level in here right around 514 as well. Just we peekabooed up above it. Couldn't get on top of it, couldn't hold it. If we were able to hold that 514, we probably would have popped out of this yesterday, but we can't. So let's stay up in this resistance area. That'd be a great thing to see. So far, we are up on top of our trend lines that are on here from the rising wedge pattern previously. So we want to keep an eye on those, keeping those as support and not finding those as resistance. So we want to see that climb higher for QQQ, tracking the NASDAQ 100. So over to IWM. Couldn't quite pull out that all-time high. Got really darn close within like $3 of the all-time high. And then it took a bit of a breather, holding steady right now in this area of, which was previously resistance. I need to update these colors on here. And by you, when I do update this chart fully, it'll be available over at the Patreon. You can find, well, actually over at the Discord, available through the Patreon. The link for Patreon is down in the description. You can check that out, as well as my buys and sells. They're over there waiting for you. All you have to do is click the link and sign up and be part of that growing community. And then, so the support that you see here, as of right now, it's holding. We fall down below that. We got a pretty far tumble back down to about 230 before we find that next support. We are up above the top trend line on a rising wedge pattern. I'm sorry, not rising wedge pattern, on a bull channel pattern. My goodness, those are two different things. And if I put this up here, you can actually see what that looks like. So here's the long-term bullish trend, and you can see the slanting lines going across your screen, or a parallel channel if you want to call it that one. Anytime that we get up above this top red line, there's usually, we got it there one time, and that was following the pandemic and lots of quantitative easing. We're up above there right now. Holding it's going to be tough. We actually have to have very favorable conditions, historically speaking, in order to stay up there. going in between the white lines that are on here and up above that green line. The white lines are where you find the most usual values. As soon as you get up above those, you start to get into more unusual values for the Russell 2000 stocks. And we're in that unusual territory right now. We actually need a bit more positive news coming our way. So low inflation would be a great thing to keep the Russell 2000 stocks going. And then also economic strength and cutting the federal funds rate. Those would be all good things to watch for the Russell 2000 stocks for IWM, which, by the way, let me take down the technicals for a moment, because this is looking a fair amount like a cup right now that we have. And as a matter of fact, we even have pretty much symmetric peaks on this. So if this turns out to be a cup and then we start to trail off this way and form a nice little handle, that could set up our next rampant rise in the Russell 2000 stocks if we get that cup and handle look for this, and that could put us on a trajectory to go well beyond what we have right now for that all-time high coming in on this chart, 244.46, and we got up to 241. Let me see. No, I'm sorry, 242.39. So got within like $2 to $3 of that all-time high. Like I said, on the monthly chart here, looking a bit like a cup. Let's see if we get a handle coming off of that, and if we do, and that cup and handle plays out, that could set us up for a rampant rise, much like what we saw if we go back to the S&P. And let's take off the technicals and let's go out to a weekly chart on this, and we'll even reset the view, and you can see the cup and handle look that we have here. Here's the cup coming off of it, handle, and then boom, just rocket ship off of that. The top of the handle, by the way, I think was around here on 564, and we're up even extended beyond that right now. And the thing to look at on the weekly chart here is that we actually still have some evidence of bearish divergence. That's something to watch out for, that we could have a bit of a correction coming our way at some point in time. But being a weekly chart, that can be a fair amount of time off. We can certainly still see our way through the end of 2025. And that's a commentary for another video at another time. Let's move over into Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now, getting rejected off the 89,645. We actually peaked up above 90,000 for just a moment and then fell back off of that. We want to stay above the 84,477. So because finding that is a critical resistance that we push through. Now we have it as support, and that is legitimate, critical, huge, massive, however you want to say it, to keep that value as support for us going forward if we're going to hit that $100,000 price tag that I have up here for you. And we absolutely can get up there. It would be nice to see a little bit of the cooling happening on the RSI on a daily basis in order to make that happen. Bitcoin right now, I believe daily, weekly, and monthly, when you look at the RSI, we are getting into that overbought territory. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that we stall out there, because, well, we can actually go significantly overbought for Bitcoin and still be in good shape for that. So the price action that we're looking for here, yeah, we got that bit of a rally right now. We're cooling off a little bit, and as long as we hold to 84,477 as that line of support, that can be our next launching point, sending us up to that $100,000 price tag from where we're at right now. So that's about $13,000, $12,000 to $13,000. So that would be 10 to 15% up from where we sit right now to hit that 100,000 mark. And we have seen that in a very short amount of time. So if we even go back to this most recent rise that we have and we measure up to the peak of that, that's about a 34% climb that we've made just from a few days ago. Going back to, I mean, we're still within November to watch over a 30% gain, pretty much unchecked. Let's let things cool down. Let's let them settle for a little bit. And probably, if this look right now is actually very bullish that we have. And if we stay in here, that can set up that next rampant rise up to that 100,000, especially if inflation numbers come in cool today, or even as expected. What we don't want is to have higher than expected numbers for inflation. So we would be watchful for that. Tesla getting rejected pretty hard and tumbling back down. You can actually see the support lines that I have up here, which I currently still have listed as resistance. We'll see if we get back up above those. I'll take this one here, as a matter of fact. We'll color this one green for you. We'll call that one support, because we did come down. We did find that support at that 328.36. We actually did that during the pre-market hours, and then again towards the close for Tesla, that's been tested. So if we even go down to the hourly chart, you can see that yesterday from the pre-market hours, there's the candle where it came down and touched it, and at the end we got there again. Dip down below it in the after hours, pop back up above it in the pre-market hours right now. So for Tesla, there's talk about a short squeeze, squeezing out hedge funds out of their short positions. and causing a lot of buying, a lot of volume to come into this. And now we're looking for that settling. We want to stay up above, believe it or not, 307 is that number that we want to keep in order to have that rise back up to that 356. We can stay higher, by the way. 350 is still going to be a pain. I said that before. That's why there's a white line on here at 350. And we want to watch for that for Tesla moving forward from here. That 356 is also going to be a tough one. That is the next Fibonacci, that level that we have, a very critical Fibonacci level. So we want to watch for that. And keeping above the 50 is going to be huge for breaking up, or I should say the 0.5 is huge for breaking that 0.618. So if we fall down below that 0.5, that's going to make it tough because that makes a critical resistance for us. But for right now, for Tesla, let some of that cooling come in, find out where the new floor is. Maybe it's at 328. Maybe it's down here. I have some minor supports in here at about 324 and 323. So you can see that that worked out yesterday for the bottom of this wick on the candle. And so we'll see where that goes for right now. And if you want to see the prices, let me do this for you. You can see some of the prices to the upside that I have here for Tesla, 378, and then well up above that. There we go. I got to lock my technicals here. Well up above that, if we hold the 61.8, that opens up the 425. But I would say that a lot of things would have to go really well for Tesla, not just the Trump endorsement and support that's there, but also we would have to see a pretty big swing in the EV space for Tesla, as that's still their main revenue driver, and we'd have to see some huge rampant demand and also some sales numbers come in with that high margin business with their energy and storage business as well. So, I mean, this I think would be pretty far off to see that $400 price tag come out of there again. If we go out to the monthly chart real quick on Tesla, there we go, and hide the technicals on this, we are still well below that peak. That peak is 414. We would be setting new all-time highs if we went up to 425. So the momentum, by the way, on a monthly basis is actually looking really good as far as the chart goes right now. We are in a perfect bullish area for momentum for Tesla stock. And if we could settle, that settling around 300 would actually be really nice to see, to watch, to see that 300 is actually a critical support for us. 307 is that Fibonacci level that we're looking for. But staying up above 300, I think, is going to be a boon to us if we're going to see a new launching point. So if we do settle back down a bit more from where we're at, I don't think it gets massively scary. I think we're going to need a lot more in terms of numbers and in terms of proof in the pudding to see numbers like we had with the previous all-time highs when it was just growth with EV and production and deliveries and you name it. And Tesla has a lot going for it right now that, well, was doubtful before. You can see that doubt taking place. But now that excitement's coming in, we need to cool off a little bit. And once cooler heads prevail and when things start to settle, let the dust settle a little bit, most likely north of 300, we start that next launching point to see what sort of trajectory we have for this thing. And I still think that it's north of that $300 number. Hopefully we get back up to that 356 number where we found that 618 level for Tesla. So let's wrap things up with just a quick discussion of NVIDIA. We cannot seem to hit that 150 mark. It just keeps on eluding us. We got within, in the pre-market hours the one day, 149.95, within 5 cents of 150, and the bears just came in and just keep on smacking NVIDIA back down. One of my community members said, is there a little bit, I believe it was TurboTube, so hey TurboTube, asking, is there a little bit of bearish divergence going on? And honestly, off these peaks on the RSI on the daily chart, we do have the prices up, momentum sort of kind of softening a little bit. So yeah, there's a little bit of bearish divergence there. The earnings can trump technicals coming up here. So we might see the price softening. We might see that nervousness come in. We're going to have to watch and see. And I'll say this, just in short about NVIDIA, I'll save the rest of it for when I put out the other video, that what we want to see for them, we want to see that that the Blackwell launch is moving along smoothly, that the demand for throughout 2025 is still just as strong as they said it was. We really want to hear about what's coming up for 2026. That's going to be the big thing that we have going for NVIDIA. We want to see continued high margin business from them, continued rampant growth, continued rampant demand, and that's going to keep the punch going at the party. So guys, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel to see my NVIDIA stock price prediction and earnings projection. The next video to come out for us. You can leave the comments down for me. You can talk to me about what you think about this video, about your excitement for the next video. Just let me know. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. And then also, if you want access to my buys and sells to see the technicals before they hit YouTube, to talk to me and my other community members, you can do so using the link for the Patreon down in the description. And if you want to learn to do this technical analysis yourself and get access to the bread recipe trading strategy, which is the best trading strategy I've ever seen. I use it myself. It's been developed by Stockmo, and he has a course through Stockmo Academy that walks you through technical analysis, set up by educational professionals, vetted by me, another educational professional with my doctorate in education, 17 years in the career experience for that. And Stockmo and Mrs. Mo, who set up the course, have even more than I do. I think that they're at 20 plus. I'll let them speak for themselves on that side, but it's definitely longer than the 17 years that I have. They have put together a very solid course. The bread recipe, so super solid, tried and true, and just battle tested by me, by Stockmo, by the members who have already signed up for Stockmo Academy, and you guys can do it too with the discount code DOCTOR, DOCTOR. It's going to save you a ton of cash, and the bread recipe that it walks you right exactly through how to set it up. And you also have a learning community go along with it, that if there's any adjustments that you're not sure of or things that you want to question, you can ask that community. They'll come back to you with answers ready to go that really help throughout that process. And there's tons of testimonials of people who are experiencing wild success with that bread recipe trading strategy. Use the code word doctor when you sign up. I think that you're going to enjoy what you find over there. Guys, thank you for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.